Welcome to Halum's House of Movies! That's a new slogan I'm trying, so let me know if you like it. A Good Person was a movie I was super excited for because it stars Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman. Florence Pugh's character Allison is a young woman with a wonderful fiance, a blossoming career, and supportive family and friends. However, her world crumbles in the blink of an eye when she survives an unimaginable tragedy, emerging from recovery with an opioid addiction and unresolved grief. With that cast and that synopsis, it felt like A Good Person couldn't do anything wrong. It would almost have to intentionally sabotage itself to be bad. But boy, did it. I'm surprised I survived that first act. Between the terrible, cringe-worthy dialogue that reminded me of a Netflix show and the melodrama spewing out of my ears, there were moments where I was convinced they had swapped out Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman for AI versions of themselves with no charisma or personality at all. And for a drama like this, where one of the biggest requirements is you need to care about what happens to the main characters, they did a terrible job with the setup, making it hard for me to care about anyone, and at times almost wishing bad things would happen because they were so annoying. And the lack of likability of the characters felt unintentional as well. It didn't feel like the movie was setting you up that way on purpose because it was going to create this whole character arc. It felt like the movie didn't know we didn't like the main characters. There is a point though where this becomes a different movie. If you told me that another director came in at this point and totally changed direction and rewrote the script and redirected the dialogue and the way he wanted the characters to sound, I would believe you. That's how different it was all of a sudden. It kind of reminds me of another movie, an Apple TV film called Cherry. If you guys haven't checked out that movie, definitely watch it. It stars Tom Holland. It did something very similar. I remember being totally disenfranchised with the film until a certain point, and I was all in by that point. Without getting into too much detail about the plot, after this accident happens and the aftermath of all of that, that's where the movie picked up for me. That's where it hit its stride, and that's where Florence Pugh, I think, figured out her character or got better direction about what the character was supposed to be. At that point, the movie goes from a melodramatic mess to a much more focused and interesting narrative and character piece. It presented a really interesting and, in my opinion, much more realistic take of opioid addiction and how it could affect anyone, even someone like Florence Pugh's character that isn't necessarily into drugs in the first place and doesn't live that lifestyle, but it kind of creeped up on her because of this accident. I think this is the best performance that Florence Pugh has given thus far, and that's saying something. She's been in some really good movies so far, including Black Widow, but I think this was a better character for her, and it let her show more of her acting chops. You can tell she's really immersed in the character and does a great job portraying an addict, almost too good at times, and the movie also gets infinitely better once her character and Morgan Freeman meet. It goes without saying that Morgan Freeman is the king of drama and delivers an amazing performance, but the chemistry that they had together was what really made this movie feel special. There were a few scenes that stood out to me because of the performances, almost brought me to tears, even without being that invested in the characters. Unfortunately, as much as the movie hit its stride in some ways at this point, it also couldn't find its footing in other ways. Morgan Freeman's character, for example, is given a very generic backstory. It's one that we've seen 1,000 times. It doesn't try to do anything different, and as much as he's a masterclass actor in drama, you could tell that he was trying to make the best of it, but he couldn't stop the script from shining through. With that said, you could tell most of the people in the theater were there to see Morgan Freeman, and he had some really crowd-pleasing, endearing, funny lines at times, and he brought a really nice element to the movie. So at this point, I'm saying that Florence Pugh gave one of the best performances of her career so far, and Morgan Freeman gave a great, solid performance with a character backstory that's showing some cracks. With that said, why was this movie just okay to me? I can't think of another movie that I've seen recently that has a cast that's this incredible and all-out performances given every other scene, especially in the third act, but it still finds a way to fall on its face. As much as the movie found its footing, it ends up feeling contrived, even in its best scenes, and it's hard to explain why. I truly believe that the script was just okay, but with a better director, they could have elevated this film and actually utilized their actors much better. Somehow, with the acting talent and a decent script, it still felt contrived and empty and just a hollow, soulless film somehow. It's so frustrating for me because this movie had so much potential and there's so many memorable performances and scenes that stick in my head still, but as a whole, it can't pull everything together. It feels like a very busy and messy film. It doesn't feel like an A24 film that wraps things up beautifully. Overall, if you're a fan of either of the lead actors, you're gonna have a good time with this movie because you can tell they're giving it their all, even if the movie won't let them realize their full potential. If you can get past the hollow nature of the film and just take it face value, you'll have a good time with it. It seemed like most people in the theater were happy with it. It's not a bad movie, it's not a great movie, it's right there in the middle. Which brings me to my new rating system I want to try. My buddy Cam came up with this. We're both fans of the show Hogan's Heroes, so I'm thinking of calling this rating system Halum's Heroes. So we have the name Halum's Heroes, but to organize the movies, we're gonna have a kingdom, a sort of a hierarchy. So in this Halum's Heroes hierarchy, which oddly resembles European feudalism, I'm gonna say a good person is a knight ranking. So just as a frame of reference, that would be about a C. Thank you guys as always for watching. I really apologize for the delayed uploads lately. I've been in the process of getting a new job and a lot of stuff going on right now, so it'll become more consistent soon as life kind of solidifies a little bit. Anyway, thank you guys as always for watching. See ya.